right, everyone, let's get started. So in this webinar, we're going to be presenting and talking about Copilot Pages, and this is tailored for IT admins to talk through IT governance, management, and controls. My name's Jake. I'm a Principal Product Manager working on Copilot Pages and building experiences for IT admins.
My name's Dan, and I'm a duplicate of Jake.
Hey everyone, I'm Avi. I represent security and compliance for SharePoint and SharePoint Embedded.
Excellent.
And today we'll be talking and giving some introductory information about what Copilot Pages are and how to think about them. And then we'll talk through IT admin features like cloud policy, storage, management, governance, Purview, and have some time for questions. So I'll start and give it off to Dan.
Sweet. Thanks, Jake. See if I can click. Doesn't look like I can click. You want to do it?
Sure thing.
All right. So this is just a little bit of background for you coming into, I heard I had to manage Copilot Pages and I'm attending this thing, figure it out, but what are they? So a little bit of backdrop from why we made them. There's this study that Microsoft publishes, and I believe we update it once per year and maybe a little bit more often than that. And it's a broad study over many continents and a very significant end count. And the trends that we're seeing with AI, people bringing AI to work, are pretty cool. I'm inspired by this. People are making more content easily to communicate more clearly. They're reading less stuff because they can get summaries of it. They're using AI in meetings. If you haven't had this experience in Microsoft Teams, it's quite phenomenal. It captures follow-ups for you, listens to the whole conversation, puts some things at the end for you to recall. Here's what we discussed. You get recaps. They can do fast through the recording of what everybody's been saying and just highlight a few pieces. It's really cool. 75%, those are the blue ones that you see here. So that's 75% of people are already using AI at work. So as an IT admin, that's why you're watching this. And then 78% of those blue ones, they're bringing their own AI tools to work. So they're using their phone, they're using other tools to do work in your office. And so, or at your organization. And so that'll be interesting in a minute when we talk a little bit more about why we think Copilot is a really great thing for you to be deploying. I'm going to say the word click, I think. Yes, that's good. And so this is just a kind of a no-duh if you've been watching AI in the news, but also a good reminder of the tasks that you're doing and that your employees are doing every day today. AI is continuously getting better at radically reducing the amount of time it takes you to accomplish those things, especially in processing information, collating information, summarizing it, analyzing it, and producing reports or producing content that your team can use to collaborate more efficiently together. So the headline on the slide says it all. Things that used to take days may actually only take hours now. So hop to the next slide, Jake. Oh, yes, of course. And it applies to all industries. So this isn't just like people who are using their computer for coding or getting efficiencies. AI is broadly and deeply enhancing roles that everybody has in all industries. So this is sort of you bring AI to work anywhere and it's going to help people get more efficient. The other thing that's interesting is it's difficult to even create a list of the things that it can do that are the scenarios because about every month or so, the list grows. And so I would suggest if you haven't been using AI at work, try it and then try it again next month. If it disappointed you, try it again next month. The same thing. You may be surprised how fast it's rapidly advancing. Next slide. This is just to remind you that we've been here, Office, helping you at work get things done. And so we've had different phases of Office tools, and the slide's really trying to tell you, hey, AI is a new phase. And so we're demonstrating to you today a new AI capability called Copilot Pages and helping you understand how to deploy and manage that in your organization. But we are in the era of AI now, and Microsoft is along with you. We want to help you and empower your employees. Both to embrace the change and to benefit from the productivity gains. Next slide. This is the part when I showed you the blue dots and said that 75% of people were using it and 78% of them were bringing their own AI to work. Here's why Microsoft believes that our Copilot is a really great solution for you. So three big things. It's connected to your business data. And so like it can read for you your Teams chats, your email messages. It can check your calendar. It can read all of your files if you need it to. And so that context is phenomenal. Like you can ask AI in the morning, our Copilot, you can say, what's on deck for me? What's important? What are the most important things in my inbox? What are the most important things my manager's asking for me in the last 7 days? And it's connected to all of that data automatically for you. The second thing is it's integrated with the existing Microsoft 365 apps. And so wherever you are interacting with your current data, you also have access to Copilot right there in the flow of your work. And then the third one, which is probably most interesting to this audience, is Microsoft Copilot offers enterprise-grade security, privacy, and compliance. And we'll talk about those features, but that's super important for running your business effectively and efficiently. There's a lot of risk reduction when you know you're using Copilot. And then one more, I think this is the one we just added. So this morning, I don't know if it was 6 a.m. or 8 a.m. Redmond time, but we released this blog. And so we'll have a follow-up to this particular flow here. We're doing demos with what you can see in your product experience today. But in about a month or two, there'll be, let's call it, the M365 or Microsoft 365 Copilot app when you go to m365.cloud.microsoft. That app experience will get some new capabilities. You can see them in bold here, the search, the create, the notebooks, the agent store. And those will be in addition to Copilot Pages that you see today. All of the management of Copilot Pages and all of the way it works, that's the same. So everything you hear today applies into the future. I just wanted you to know if you're watching this in 2 months, like that's not what mine looks like. That's because this release of new capabilities in addition to Copilot Pages is coming soon. And I believe this is a transition to Jake.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, it's great
Excellent.
context setting for how AI is evolving and changing our way of work. I wanted to start off with Copilot Chat. LLMs have proven to be this radically new way of interacting with AI. Conversations are so natural to people. It's what we do every day. And so naturally talking to an AI agent to ask questions, do research, gather information, and get work done is incredibly powerful. And here on the M365 Copilot app, which is m365.cloud.microsoft, it also redirects if you type office.com or m365copilot.com. This is the place where you can get your day started and talk with Copilot. And Copilot Chat is available in other applications as well, like Teams. But here is where you can talk to Copilot and gather information. And what's exciting is in January, we announced the Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat experience. And this is our free secure AI chat powered by GPT-4o that is grounded on the web. This is available for all Entra ID signed in users. And this means it no longer requires the M365 Copilot license to use Copilot Chat. This is an offering through Microsoft 365 that allows your employees to use a secure chat experience versus using external AI tools. It also lets you use agents with a pay-as-you-use basis. So your organization can create agents tailored for your business, and your employees can use those agents as with a pay-as-you-go consumption basis. And of course, it has the IT controls that you need to ensure enterprise-grade security, privacy, compliance, and management. And with the Microsoft 365 Copilot license, you'll of course get everything in the prior slide. And additionally, you will get work-grounded chat. This is a Copilot Chat experience that when asking a question, it is able to also in real time scan all of the files, chats, emails, meetings, and documents you personally have access to give you a work-grounded response. So it knows the files and work and content that you're working on. This is incredibly powerful for getting work done at your organization versus just a web-scoped response. And that also allows employees to create their own custom agents and more advanced IT admin controls. Now, Copilot Chat is super powerful, and people use it for things like research and searching and getting answers. But people are also using it to get their work done. And a lot of work involves creating documents or digital artifacts to collaborate with team members to get further work done and make decisions. And that's why we introduced Copilot Pages. We first rolled this out last September, and this allows you to easily create a document side by side with Copilot Chat. This allows you to turn insightful responses from Copilot into something more durable with a side-by-side experience that you can edit, and when you're ready, share with your team members to collaborate. And this is really taking the Copilot Chat experience from a communication first experience to a document collaboration experience. You can, of course, explore and get started with chat, and when you're ready to convert that into a document, instead of copying, pasting between Copilot and other applications, you can do that right in line with Copilot. Once you create a page, you can continue to edit manually or continue to iterate with Copilot. It provides a durable document that is persistent in your organization, and you can share that with others, and it'll be available through the M365 ecosystem. So with that, let's switch over to a quick live demo of what this looks like.
Oh yeah, in all our backgrounds, Microsoft turned 50 this year, if you're curious what's going on here. So our Microsoft Digital folks deployed these backgrounds and we were having fun with them this morning. So.
Okay, so this is my test tenant. And here I'm on the M365 Copilot app. And I've started off with Copilot Chat. And here's where you can switch between web scoped responses and work scope responses. I'm currently on web. And so for this demo, I'm going to show an example of how you can create a Copilot page. For this, I was thinking about what would be relevant. And since I'm working on this presentation for you, I figured I could ask Copilot that I'm presenting to IT admins today. Can you give me some presenting advice and a checklist to prepare? And this, of course, can create a great prompt and question response. If I were to select work scope and your organization had presentation advice or guidance about talking to customers, that would also be included in this response. And so I've got a nice list here. And say I wanted to work with Dan on this further, use this checklist to prepare over a few days, I can simply click the Edit and Pages button, which will take the Copilot response and put it into a document. Here on the right is our canvas, and this is where I can easily edit and continue to iterate further. So we'll make this a checklist. And when I'm ready, I can simply share this with Dan to collaborate further. Now, this Copilot page is available for users to view. You can either click here to view all your pages created. You can also go to Pages in this left navigation. So when clicking here, you can see all the pages I've created so far. And this is one I just made. All right. Let me switch back to the slides.
Good deal. I think you've got an anatomy slide that we can go through quickly, but then people can pause on it if they want to refer to it later. So that's good.
So in terms of availability, again, Copilot Pages was first introduced last September, and that was first available for the work scope of Copilot Chat. It required the M365 Copilot license. Now, Copilot Pages are also available for all Entra ID users using the web scope of Copilot Chat. And I just gave you control when you need that. And here's
Perfect.
one more screen of Copilot Pages, and you can pause the video later to see all the different controls and actions you can do with Copilot Pages.
Cool.
All right, I'll hand it back over to Dan.
Yes, so Jake just gave us an overview of what a Copilot page is and how you would use it while interacting with chat. There's lots of reasons you might want to put some content on a page, but when you switch your IT hat on and you're thinking, oh, now there's new content being created in my organization. How do I manage that? How do I govern that? How do I ensure that it follows all the policies for content in my organization? That's the next part of this. And we'll do that until we finish. So go ahead and drop questions in the Q&A as they come to you, and we'll try to get to as many as we can through the session. Sorry, at the end of the session. So I can click now. So the first thing we're going to cover is if for any reason you need to control this experience, you need people to be able to or not be able to create Copilot pages, they're controlled and governed with a cloud policy switch. And so that's in all of your admin center. You can go there, and I think there's Office Cloud Policy in the more. You can just go to config.office.com and then create a new policy. And I just took a couple screenshots of the tool here. It's quite simple. I think I missed adding the one for scope, but you can specify, I want this to apply to everyone in my tenant, or you can say, I want this particular policy group to apply to a Microsoft 365 group. So you could say, I'm going to roll this out to a set of early adopter individuals first, pilot it, and then I'm going to increase it to my full tenant later. So all of that is possible with Cloud Policy. And then the particular policy, I just did a search for Copilot pages, and you can see if I clicked. Maybe I'll click this one. Yeah, and then if you click on that one, this describes how to configure the Copilot pages policy, which actually, I can say this because we announced it today, also applies to Copilot notebooks, but you'll read that later. So Copilot pages, you can not configure it, which means they're on by default, or you can say, no matter what Microsoft ever does, I always want this enabled, or at this time for this period, I need to disable it. And we hope that you don't have to use that, but put reasons in the question why you might be thinking that, because we would love you to be able to use this for all of your employees. I think I just zipped back really far. Here we go. Right. So how should you, as an IT admin, think about Copilot pages? Where is that content and how is it getting created? So I'm just going to show you the product. I don't know what I'm doing to your computer, Jake. Get this window out here. Oh, sorry. I can't explain that, anyone, but all right, I'm going to click again. There, that's working. It's advancing the slide. So a Copilot page is just a file. So a file, just like a docx or a pptx or any other file that end users create. Copilot pages are built on the foundation that we built several years ago to deliver Loop. And so currently they have a .loop extension. And you manage them just like you would any other file in your ecosystem. So when I'm down here and I click this Edit in Pages button, when it creates this file here, maybe you should click next, Jake. I'm just going to point. That. Yes. Yes. When I click the Edit in Pages button, that page that Jake was showing you before, that is a .loop file. You can share it just like Jake showed. You can choose the link, or you can choose a component, which is a feature of Loop, or you can say, oh, I want this to appear live in the context of the chat or in the context of the email. And Copilot pages inherit all of those benefits. And then finally, all of the content that you're creating goes in something called SharePoint Embedded. So if you haven't heard of SharePoint Embedded before, it's like SharePoint, except without the UX of SharePoint. So an application developer, like Microsoft doing this with Loop, we can use the SharePoint platform and all the benefits. So all of the disaster recovery, all of the multi-geo things, all of the backup features, all of the security and compliance, all of the integration with Purview. It works just like another file. So most of the questions that I get asked are, what does this feature look like for Copilot pages? And I say, well, it looks like the exact same thing you do for a Word document. And people are like, oh, that's easy. Great. I understand a lot of the answers. When I create a Copilot page, the place that it creates it is at a new SharePoint embedded container, which is similar to a SharePoint site. You would manage them like that, and Abby's going to show you that. And then all of the files get put in there are just the .loop files, and those are for each Copilot page. So for end users, the pages module just feels like an MRU for all of the things that they've created. And for IT admins, you just think of them a little bit like a SharePoint site that's user owned, more like a OneDrive actually, because it's owned by that particular user. And that's it. It's no more complex than that. It's just like a OneDrive with .loop files in it, and that's how you manage it. Jake, I think we decided you're advancing. Cool. Yeah, and then Jake, why don't you show us how to manage those containers in the SharePoint Embedded Admin Center?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Yeah, so here's a quick look at this, what the SharePoint Embedded Admin Center looks like. Well, let's switch over to a live demo.
Sorry about all that moving of windows around on your computer. I don't know what was going on there.
No worries. You truly took control of my computer.
That is the name of the button, so.
All right, here we are. So what you're seeing on screen is the SharePoint Admin Center. And on the left, you can see here under containers, this is where you can view all of your active SharePoint embedded containers in your organization. And like Dan mentioned, it's similar to managing SharePoint sites, which you can view here. Note that you do have to be a global admin, or you have to be specifically defined as a SharePoint embedded admin to view these containers and to manage them. And here you can see the list of containers, similar to seeing the list of SharePoint sites. The container name, the application type, publisher, ownership type, all these different columns to define what this container is. SharePoint Embedded is a platform for both Microsoft and third-party applications. So over time, you will see different applications appear here that are used in your organization. For now, in this test tenant, all of these containers are of type loop, and that's because all Copilot pages are .loop files, and these containers store those .loop files. Now, for Copilot pages specifically, these containers are user-owned, so a way to filter down to the Copilot pages containers is to first filter to ownership type user. And you can additionally filter down to the application name loop if you have other containers. And this is 3 user-owned containers for 3 users in my test tenant. For me specifically, all my Copilot pages I just created and shared earlier are stored inside this container. And when clicking it, you can see additional metadata. One I wanted to call out is the container URL. This URL is what we'll be using in a later Purview demo, which is useful. But you can see again who the principal owner is, the storage used, created date, etc. And since these are user-owned containers, if Jacob Cohen were to leave this organization, his container would get soft deleted and be hard deleted after 93 days. You can manage deleted containers here and restore them. And we'll talk more about lifecycle management. Did I cover everything, Dan? Anything else to include?
I think just for those who've been riding along for a while, you'll find that the principal owner and the ownership type and the sort and the searching and the filtering, those are all new capabilities that we just implicitly demoed, but those are all new. So maybe that's just exciting, but you did cover everything.
One more thing I did remember actually is additional detail is you'll notice that for one user, the container name is called My Workspace instead of Pages. And that's because this user created used the Loop app first. And this created a storage container to store personal pages in the Loop app. It's the same storage as being used to store Copilot pages. If your user first used Copilot pages, the container name will be Pages. Just one more detail. But the easy answer is anything that is of ownership type user and application name loop are the user-owned containers, 1 per user in your organization. All right, let's switch back to the slides. Dan, take it away.
All right. So I've shown this slide before when referring to the Loop Foundation. And because Copilot pages are built on that same foundation, this may look very familiar. This is simpler for the user-owned workspaces. So we have a lot of, like I mentioned before, the benefits of building on top of the SharePoint embedded platform are immense for us as a team delivering a new capability. We get a lot of those things that you see on the left. And so those are very frequently asked questions and very important for a lot of the larger organizations that deploy software. Since November, which is when Copilot Pages shipped. So if you tuned in the very first time and said, okay, Copilot Pages, I'm going to check and see what's available, all of the stuff in the second column has become available since we first launched. So In particular, that Graph API access, that's actually, we usually call that guest app access, so that third-party tools can register as a guest app. And then we have released retention labels. And yes, now maybe I'll highlight the Admin Center updates, which Jake just mentioned. And then finally, in the last column, there's a few more items on our roadmap that we have not delivered yet. And Jake mentioned this earlier. When a user departs your organization, the way that works for OneDrive is there's a soft delete period where the container is, rather, sorry, there's an evaluation period where the container is still visible, and then there's a soft delete period, and then at the end of that, the container is permanently removed. We follow the same timeline as the default OneDrive timeline, and then the workflow for someone to reassign or copy or give more content or move it, we're still working on that. And so that's what that departed user workflows mean. That is not delivered yet. Also, a lot of people ask about usage reports. I'd like to see who's using Copilot Pages, and those are coming soon. If you delete a Copilot page in the Microsoft 365 Copilot app in that Pages module, currently there is no recycle bin for you to find it, but we will deliver that as well. And then finally, there's one workflow in Purview that the team is working on delivering. When you commit all of your content to a Purview review set, using the full text index capabilities. So if I search for content that's inside the file, that's not just the file name, that does not function yet, but that will be delivered soon as well. So that's basically it. Those capabilities are on our roadmap. And we think all of the things that you need to manage Copilot Pages in your organization are available and ready for you to use today. And Abby's going to show you a few of those in Purview. And then again, I would encourage anybody to drop questions in the chat as we're going. And I think it's take it away, Abby. Is that right?
Sounds good. Thanks, Dan and Jake, for all of this Copilot Pages intro. And I didn't even know some of this, so this is super helpful. Let's talk security and compliance for Copilot Pages. As Dan and Jake explained, most of the security and compliance features that you're already used to, if you're used to the SharePoint world, are already going to be carried over out of the box for you for Copilot Pages. Nothing specific that needs to be done. Everything works out of the box. You are secure and compliant on day one. But of course, we want to allow everybody to have the customization and the flexibility to create, configure, and manage security and compliance policies for the specific content type that they're working on. So we are secure and compliant out of the box on day one, but you can still manage and be flexible. So that's what we are going to see today. So let's look at some of the security and compliance features that we support on Copilot Pages. Let's talk about audit first. Audit, as you know, provides organizations with visibility into the many types of audited activities across various services in Microsoft 365. We have now expanded audit capabilities to include Copilot Pages and, of course, all of Loop content. All the key events on these contents like that are stored in SharePoint embedded containers, and all the admin activities will be logged. Because Copilot Pages are stored in user-owned SharePoint embedded containers, you will see specific container-related key value pairs in the audit logging. If you can look at the screenshot here, we can see container type ID and container instance ID being SharePoint embedded specific content that you're going to be seeing. So the container instance ID is nothing but the GUID for the individual container wherein the Copilot page was stored. And container type ID refers to the type of container where this is stored. So for example, Copilot Pages are stored in containers that are only going to host all of the Copilot Pages content. So the container type would have all of Loop content. So the distinction here is container ID refers to the individual unique container, whereas container type refers to the type of container content, for example, Loop here. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's talk about the eDiscovery support that we provide. So as you may know, compliance admins use eDiscovery tools using the Microsoft Purview portal to perform eDiscovery search, to perform eDiscovery hold, and to do an eDiscovery search export. To perform an eDiscovery search on all Copilot pages, admins can select the all SharePoint sites that is highlighted on the left-hand side screenshot. So this basically means that the search will be scoped to all content within all SharePoint sites and all SharePoint embedded containers. And because Copilot pages are stored in a SharePoint embedded container, all Copilot pages will also be scoped in this particular search. But say you don't want to do that. You don't want to crawl the entire world, but rather you would scope the search to just one specific container because you know for sure that your content resides in that specific container. You can, of course, go do that. And let's look at a quick eDiscovery demo wherein we will pick the second option that you see on the right-hand side, which is scoping the keyword search to just one specific container. So we'll be searching for the keyword Contoso, and then we'll be restricting the search to just that one container, and we'll be able to see what eDiscovery returns. So let's take a look at the demo now. All right, so this is the SharePoint Admin Center, and like Jake already showed us, we are gonna take the pages. Sorry, I don't know if my video is frozen, Jake, or if everybody can see the update. There we go.
Got it.
All right. So we can see that Jake owns the container. We copy the container URL, and we'll go to the Copilot pages, and now we can see the keyword Contoso here. So I'll create an advanced eDiscovery search. I'm creating the eDiscovery case now, and then I'll create a collection. This collection, like I mentioned earlier, will be scoped to the containers URL, which we just copied. This is going to be a very straightforward search, like nothing complex about it. So we are pasting the URL that we just copied from the admin center. Okay, so now I'm going to search for only loop file types. So this is going to make life very easy. If I'm only searching for loop content, of course, I'm going to add that like file type restriction, and of course, add the Contoso keyword. So the search is restricted now with the search criteria and with the URL that we have specifically scoped it down to. So let's add this to a review set and see what the results are. Okay, we've committed the collection to the review set that I've created, and let's see what the results are. Okay. And please note that I had created this search to respond with all of the individual document versioning. So we saw a whole bunch of results that got returned. As we can see, the result here shows that this is the containers GUID that got highlighted. And because it's Copilot page, we can see that the content is stored in the document library of that particular container. And we can see the preview of the Copilot pages as well. All right, so let's talk about data lifecycle management. Retaining and deleting content is often needed for compliance and regulatory requirements, as you know. But deleting content that no longer has business value also helps your organization manage risk and liability. DLM provides admins the tools and capabilities to retain the loop content and the Copilot pages content that they need to keep, and then delete the rest. Let's look at a quick demo for DLM, wherein we will create a retention policy that is scoped to this, again, the same container that we had copied from the SharePoint Admin Center earlier. And then we will retain all content that is stored in that particular container. And then we'll go and delete the Copilot page and then verify the Copilot page got removed from the original document library where it's hosted, but it's still retained in the preservation whole library for that particular container. So let's look at the demo. Okay, so we are again in the Purview portal. I'm going to go and create a retention policy here. So I've already created the policy, so I'll just like quickly walk you through what the policy does. So I'm not scoping it across all SharePoint sites, but we are going to scope it down to just the same URL that we had copied earlier. I'm going to retain all of the items in this particular container for 7 years. And since the policy is already active, let's go and remove the same Contoso Copilot page that we had seen in the previous demo. So now that that's deleted, let's again run through a very quick eDiscovery search. So this is going to be very similar to the previous eDiscovery search that we saw. I'm again scoping it down to the same URL of the container that we had copied. And I'm going to perform a keyword search with the keyword Contoso. Okay, so now that we have the collection, we can go and commit it and add it to a review set. Again, please note, I am clicking on the all document version, so we will be able to see all of the different versioning as it happens. Okay, so we have the results already. And as we can see, the Contoso purchase invoice order document does show up, even though we did delete it. So if we look at the metadata to see where exactly it got stored, if we can pause here, Jake. So here, if we can look at the actual path, it says the tenant id.microsoft.com. The tenant id.sharepoint.com, and then we see the GUID there. This is the containers GUID. And instead of having document library path like we saw in the previous demo, now we see preservation whole library. And then we can see the name of the Copilot page, which is Contoso purchase invoice order. And then in the underscore GUID, we can see this is the GUID that automatically got appended because when the file moves from the original location inside the Copilot document library to the preservation whole library, to make sure that the document is unique, this GUID gets appended. And we can see that the extension is still a loop file. So we can confirm using this demo that the document, in fact, did get preserved because of the retention policy applied on that particular container. Awesome. So let's talk about data. Yeah, let's talk about DLP next. So data loss prevention, or DLP. Organizations have sensitive information under their control, as you may know. We have financial data, proprietary data, health records, social security numbers, etc. To actually help protect the sensitive data and to reduce the risk of oversharing, we need a way to help prevent our users to restrict them from sharing sensitive data with people who really shouldn't have that sensitive data. This is, of course, done using DLP. We can create, define, and apply DLP policies to, again, specific SharePoint embedded containers, and in this case, the container where the Copilot pages reside. And you can see like two different screenshots on your screen. The left-hand side shows that a policy tip is shown to the Contoso purchase invoice order Copilot page when the end user opens it up. And that is because I had added some like bank account and like routing numbers. So because of that, there's a policy tip that shows users to help them be aware that there is a violation in a specific policy. And then I had configured the DLP policy to disallow external sharing. So when I try to share to abhi@gmail.com, who's of course an external user in this Contoso tenant, we are not allowed this external sharing. So we see the warning message, and of course, the sharing dialog shows that the apply button is disabled, so we can no longer generate the external sharing link. So DLP, again, like works out of the box for Copilot Pages content because of the goodness of SharePoint embedded security and compliance support that we have. But you can go ahead and customize the policy as per your business needs. Let's talk about the sensitivity label support that we provide. Dan briefly mentioned and compared Copilot Pages to regular files, like how you can set a sensitivity label as an end user for your Word file, like say on the right-hand side screenshot. You can do a similar thing in your Copilot page. You can set a sensitivity label as an end user on your Copilot page. Which sensitivity labels do you see on your screen as the end user will, of course, depend on what the admin has configured in your specific tenancy. Yeah, okay. So Jake, did you want to briefly expand on anything else related to sensitivity labels?
Yeah, thanks. One more thing to note, since Copilot pages are going to be generated from a Copilot chat response, and these responses can include work information in the work scope, do note that the Copilot page will inherit the highest sensitivity label of the documents that Copilot is referencing. So if you had a Copilot chat, a question about some confidential information, and it responded with 3 files referenced, general file, confidential, and highly confidential, the page will be labeled highly confidential. So just note that, and that will update over time as responses get included.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Jake. So these are some of the security and compliance policies that we support today on Copilot Pages. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Abby. Those were great demos. All right. And we have one more closing slide. You want to take this down?
Yeah, sure. So if you want to learn about what we talked about, Copilot Pages, we did a blog in September when we released this. And so it kind of has another summary of everything that we talked about, very light summary with links to a lot of documentation. That's the learn on the left. And new since September is what Jake already showed us, that Copilot Pages are also available in the web scope, which means they're free to everybody. And the blog says something about a Copilot license is required. That's no longer true. Copilot license is only required for the work scope, but everybody can use them. So that's a learn. New, I mentioned this at the very beginning, at the end of like our talk through of what are we up to, is this morning we announced the Work Trends Index update. So if you want to read about that, that's the same thing that was on that previous slide, the QR code to that one. And then the last one is a call to action is, because Copilot Pages are free, if anyone with an Intra ID account, why don't you try it today? So if you just go to M365 to Cloud to Microsoft, you should be able to do that today already. So I think now is a good time for us to, maybe for the benefit of those watching the recording later, we can answer some of the key questions that we received in the Q&A. And then if we get no more questions, we'll end early. We'll let you guys close the time here. I believe in the chat, someone asked where were Copilot Pages stored. I think we covered that about a minute after they asked that, but they are stored in user-owned SharePoint embedded containers. And we do document the name of the container based on whether somebody has booted Loop first to do the My Workspace, or whether they booted Copilot Pages first, and then it would be called Pages. So there should be a link to the answer to that in the documentation, and that is in our public documentation today. If you search for Loop admin, you'll be able to see that, or Loop storage. And then we asked, for compliance reasons, I'm unable to obtain the Pages container URL today, and somebody included the PowerShell command that they were using. There is a rollout right now today of some additional capabilities that should end sometime between the end of April and the end of May. So you should be able to do that very soon if it's not working yet today. I believe Tony also clarified in the chat, there's a specific link that he sent you. So if that helps you as well, but that's also documented in our public documentation.
Hey, Dan, I'll take a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. So there were 2 great questions about some common file functionality and other tools, and whether it's available in Copilot Pages. One was about file versions, and another is about recycle bin. So let me actually share my screen, and I'll share you some options. Okay, so we're back in my demo tenant. This was the Pages module. This is where you can view all your Copilot pages you've created for this user. And the first question was, do these files have version history? The answer is yes. We are creating versions and storing version history, but it is not yet available in the Pages module or the M365 Copilot app. That is on our roadmap. We will add that to our M365 roadmap for admins to track. But it is available in the Loop app. So just to add some clarity here, Copilot Pages are .loop files. They're powered by Loop technology. This canvas is a very powerful and flexible document type to let people create content with Copilot, and it has many powerful building blocks to help generate content in a page. And these Copilot pages are also visible inside the Loop app for people who are using Loop as well. It's stored inside what's called My Workspace, and this is to indicate to users this is a place to create personal Loop files. And you can see the 4 Copilot pages that I created in Copilot also visible here. And in the Loop app, you can go to the page options and click version history to access different versions. Similarly, another question was about the recycle bin. That is also not yet visible here, but that's on our roadmap to support. But it is visible in the Loop app here. So you can click this to access deleted pages and restore them. Now, a next segue question that is commonly asked is, do I need to enable the Loop app to enable Copilot Pages? That answer is no. You can enable Copilot Pages in your organization. And if for whatever reason you've chosen to not yet enable the Loop app, you can still use Copilot Pages. So for now, though, if you enable both, which they're both on by default in organizations, then users can go here to access version history and recycle bin until they're available in the Copilot app. All right. Do we have another good question queued up, Dan?
I think we have covered all the ones. Oh, sorry, there's one other one, which was, can we change the ownership of the principal owner? And if yes, who can do this and what's the timeline? So I believe I answered that one on the purple roadmap slide around user departure. And you cannot do that at this time. We are working on a workflow for you to be able to manage departure of any user in your organization. And I would say stay tuned for more information on precisely how that's going to work, what triggers there would be, what notifications there would be, what the user experience and what the admin experience would be like. We're still putting that together as we're releasing that solution.
There was another question that just came in. After you create the Copilot page, can Copilot continue to update the page? The answer is yes. Let me go to the chat. And for a quick example, I'll just say, can you give me more tips? And this will generate another response. And what you'll be able to do is add this new response to an existing page. So this page on the right. So you can click add to page, or you can select a recent page you've worked on. And this list will be available to select a prior page you may have created. But I can just click add to page, and it's appended to the end. So here's the new content. And coming soon, there'll be many more natural interactions you can use with Copilot Chat to just say things like, oh, can you convert this to a bullet list, or can you make this change to the document? Much more natural ways of making edits over time, like collaborating with a team member. I'm going to switch back to the slides. We do have a survey QR code. We'd love to hear from you, get your feedback. Here you can ask questions and let us know if this information was useful, if there's anything that's missing. Helps us make sure future webinars and content are covered. We can answer questions in our documentation as well for others to have better responses to. So if you have the time, please do scan this QR code and give us your feedback. Okay. Yeah, I think that is a good stopping point. Thanks all so much for joining live. And thank you all for those who are going to be watching this recording. We're really excited to see people use Copilot Pages to help get work done, as well as the updated M365 Copilot app that was just announced today that will be available in the coming months with some new powerful capabilities.